Hello, everybody. I'm very appreciated that you come and that you're interested in the topic. I will be speak today. It's 6 reasons your QA may think you are something not really pleasant, obviously, behind those symbols. A little bit about me. I have in total 5-year experience in QA game dev. There was different projects, different companies like the Ubisoft was a AAA, some small teams like almost indie. Now I work on a glorious Sand game. Check out our trailer, by the way. During those 5 years, I realized that there are some problems almost everywhere, and they are the same, no matter the size of your company, your project, or something else. Plus, I have a lot of friends with different experience in different companies, but still they talk the same things. So that's why I sum up it and want to share with you what is annoying when you're a QA in game dev. So the reason first is that QA is considered to be the lowest cost of development. From the very beginning, when somebody's trying to get into IT, they usually do some courses. And that's when the funny thing started, because this is a typical advertisement of IT courses. Depends on who you want to be. If it's a developer, they want to sell you it like the most sought-after, high-paid specialty on the market. If you want to be an artist, no matter which one, it's a creative way to be in IT. If you want to be in management, it sounds like you don't even have to be a nerd. You just need to tell the nerds what to do. And if you want to be a QA, it's always the easiest way to get into IT. And sometimes, after a while, you may even become a developer. So the problem is, it's not the best way to become a developer, not the fastest, I guess not the easiest. But also another problem is this topic is, from my point of view, sounds like this is a developer courses looks like. Something amazing happening with you when you get there. And on the other side, QA courses sounds like something this. And you know, the process is not finished. You're not a developer, and yeah, you're just stopped in some stage where it's not really cool. And if you really believe in this, the further communication between developers and QA will mostly look this way for you. And yeah. This is a problem that we're the less professional team members, and it's a very big root of most of the problems we will talk in future. What can you do with this? Just try to be respectful. Try to build the right way of communication between the department, because this stereotype can be solved if your developers and other members of your team communicated closely and they are getting out of these stereotypes. Because when you feel it on yourself, it's very bad, extremely annoying thingy. Reason second, QA is a monkey job. Partly true. I will not, will not tell you it's totally wrong. Especially in game dev, especially if you're working on PC or console gaming, where automatization is extremely low level, and you have to do pretty much a monkey job. And how the people think QA work looks like. Typical monkey job when you just have a bunch of cases and you just put a bug, not a bug, and it's how all your day is going on. But it's not true, because it's a tester work. It's a little bit different. QA is way wider, way more complicated. And yeah, actual QA work looks like this. So the monkey is wearing a shirt, so yeah, it's more respectful. But also you have plenty of tasks. You still do the routine monkey job unfortunately, but there are a lot of things you're doing also, and day-by-day communication, strategy, creation of documentation, and so on. Yeah, the problem is monkey job reputation. And because of this also, your opinion, professional opinion, is hard to deliver it to your CEOs, even in non-core topics. In game dev, it's extremely important to, to be able to share your ideas, because we're all gamers. If you're not, I don't know what you're doing in this beautiful place. So yeah. The things, how can you do something with this, are use the potential of QA, actual. QA is somebody who play your game day by day, 8 hours a day. They know a lot about your project. They know everything what's going on right now, at what actual stage you are. If you don't know something, go ask your QA. He will know everything you have in your game at the moment. And ask his opinion of what to do, because he's an actual, like a beta tester. When you do the beta, you ask for opinion of other people, what's your game is good or bad. But this is a person who do the same things every day. He can tell you what is annoying after 40 hours of playing. Because if you're the game designer, you will not play as much probably. In your ideas, in your mind, everything might be perfect. But in real life, there might be some things that can be rebalanced or fixed. So listen to your QA and listen about their opinion on the products you're doing. The reason 3, QA is a team member in which the least amount of money is invested. Almost one of the biggest problem, I would say. If we start from the salaries level, there is a possibility to earn pretty much, pretty a lot. Market is fixing all of this, but still, most of CEOs have the stereotype that QA level should be always be lower than the developer's salary. It's very bad thing if you're QA and you know it, and you know that your the highest salary you can get is most likely the average developer salary in your company. But your impact on the game might be way bigger. Of course, I can agree that we are do some monkey job, we are not so maybe professional, we don't know how to code, but yeah, we are also valuable, and our impact of the game can be even more valuable than the regular developer who just do his job normally, and we are checking all the rest of the stuff. Interesting question. If you have the tightest and darkness room in your office, who will sit there? How do you think? Not exactly, but usually, usually it's a system administrator. But if you have the second one, probably your QA department will sit there like on ahead of each other, because that's the way it works. If you have a giant office and, for example, your developers and QAs are on different floors, you will see the difference between that, how much space they have, how good is the food in the kitchen or something. It's a tiny thing is, but when you keep noticing it, and you know that you're like low-level guy in this family, let's say. Also, additional non-core tasks. If there's something that needs to be done in your company and nobody wants to do this, most likely you will be first to do this. Some customer support, if you don't have additional person who will do this like on a daily basis. Localization, SMM, on some researches, whatever. If something needs to be done, probably they will ask QA to do this. Actually, this is one of the problem, and the solution is for the non-core task, like try to spread it among different people. Of course, we understand that the salaries matters, and you won't ask your CEO to do some silly thingies. But still, sometimes it's even better to be distracted for a half an hour just to have a fresh head and to look on it. And it shouldn't be look like a punishment that, oh, there is something need to be done, you will do this. Pretty bad. About working conditions, also, it's obviously that nobody can sit in the same spaces, the brightest, the biggest, because somebody needs to be in a dark room. But try to do this less noticeable. And the reason number 4, you are the only one who actually need documentation. Let's take a look on the typical pipelines and lifecycle. How it usually works, unfortunately. There is an analysis stage where the CEOs and maybe game designers are thinking about some stuff. Then designers doing their job, they're doing the design. Then it goes to implementation, developer doing something, and when it goes to testing, you sometimes can realize that there is actually no info how it should look like at the end, because there was some docs, but they were not full. Designers saw that it's kind of a fine, then developer took it and just did it the way he think it better or no, but you are at your point, you have to find out what was the actual idea. So you're going to the designer, ask him questions, returning to your developer, said that something was done wrong because the first idea was different, but it was not put in some condition. So yeah, you're just walking around and trying to understand how it should look like. It's sometimes a very big problem, and it takes like, I don't know, 30% of my time at work is just talking to the designer, to the developers, like what it should be. Because there's something that needs to be tested, but no actual idea what it should be. Poor level of documentation is a poor level of transfer of information. It shouldn't be even a documentation, probably. If you have a small team and you don't want to waste a lot of time to document everything, you still need to be sure that the designer, the actual developer or artist who will do this, and tester have the same idea of what's going on. Pretty cool things about this, it's in the very beginning, when you want to make a feature, just gather those 3 people and have a brainstorm of how it should look like. After this, everybody will have the same understanding of what's going on. And from this point, QA already can start to make the documentation. Developer can also do the impact. And plus, during this conversation, pretty much things can change, because a developer will have his own view, like the technical problems that something can't be done this way, but can be done another way, and the first idea of designer will be changed. The impact of QA will be like, for example, like we already have too much shooting on this part of the game, so it's already too annoying, let's just make it less. Those brainstorms are pretty cool, work pretty well. Don't think it's a waste of time, because it's actually save your time later on, especially if you will have like plenty of iterations of fixing and trying to find out how it should look like. The reason number 5 is QA is a critic and a bearer of bad news. Your documentation is never comprehensive. It's just impossible to have it totally done. If you're doing the 2D art, you can have Figma, and you take a look at the exact result you can see on your screen, should see on your screen. But it's not work this way with animations, with sound. You can't know for sure how the mix of different sounds should hear like. And at some point, you're started to be a critic when you think that this can be a bug. And when you're creating it, sometimes the actual executor of this feature can be not agree with you and concerned that you are just criticizing with no idea, because everything is perfect on his point of view. A small thingy from one of my works for you to better understand what I'm trying to say. There was a game, and there was a model of a helicopter. But it was kind of weird because it was way smaller than it should have been look like. I created a bug with a screenshot of my character on this helicopter, and it's like didn't match to each other. The answer was no, it's perfect. We will not do everything. We will do nothing about this. But due to I understand that it's actually wrong, and to show it, I had to do this. I had to find the actual helicopter with all the characteristic and reopen this bug, because I understand it's not fits. It's like the thing in a Batmobile. It was different sizes. It shouldn't be that way. And those artists, they did a very tricky thing. They don't change it, the size of the helicopter. They just change the helicopter to another one. Maybe there were some technical issues why they can't do this, but I guess that people just don't like critic. It was easier for him to totally change it, except have said, yes, I was wrong, I will do what, because you're right. No, sometimes it's too much. And the Bureau of Bad News, the second part of this topic, imagine yourself before the release or some kind of this, and your QA coming and said, we have a critical bug. Will your developer be happy? No, he will be angry. And he will be angry on you because you brought this news, and he will just angry next to you, and you still have this negative impact on yourself always when you bring the bad news, but it's your work. Well, the main idea is just don't make your QA be uncomfortable when his work is done well, because if he bring you a critical bug, he did his work perfectly, but the impact on him is just an aggression, and it's a very bad thing. You just don't do this, never. The last one, reason number 6. It's an all QA fault if the quality is bad. Imagine this is a sprint, and something can go wrong from the very beginning or at any other stage, and in the end, something is just falling about the deadline into release. There might be estimation when QA said we need a week to test. Okay, but designers are a little bit too late and just use half a day more, and development did like 1 day more, and you just don't have enough time to either find the bugs or after this fix it. And if something is just falling into release, in the end, who will be responsible for this? QA, always. All the anger, everything will be on the QA side. Even the actual players will say that there is a bunch of bugs, and your QA is extremely poor and so on. You can just keep reading, especially if your non-core task is to be an customer support. You will read it all the time. And it's pretty bad. Just try to do everything with a cool head. Sometimes, yeah, it can be the problem of QA because some pipelines were done badly, maybe the documentation was poor, but there were a bunch of reasons why it can be so wrong without the actual QA fault in it. Because to test everything, you need an unlimited number of time, unlimited number of people, and the combination of software and hardware is just impossible. It's something that you wanted to get, but something that you will never get, and it's sometimes hard for the CEOs to understand that it's impossible to cover everything. So just do the cool head, communicate, find out why it happened, and try not to make the same mistake once more. A little bit overall conclusions. Happy worker is a good worker. While I was talking about this, just try to make everybody feel comfortable. If your QA is happy, the work will be done better, believe me. Respect your teammates same way, no matter the position. Still the same thing. Don't try to be in the cocoon of developers doing only their thingies and QA somewhere else. Just bring all together, see no difference between them. All opinions matter. We're still in DevGAMM, game dev. All the gamers, we want to be heard. If you have an ideas, just listen to it. If it's wrong, just say why, but it's impossible to work when you don't have this impact on the project. Process improvement can fix most of the problems. That is right. So don't be aggressive, don't be upset. Everything can be fixed. QA only humans, after all, don't put all blame on them. And the last but not least, support Ukraine, because all these things matter only if you're alive and not injured, not floated, and something like that. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Great speech, great talk. Damn, I'm like in the QA team right now, supporting you all. Okay, do we have any questions in the audience right now? You need some time? No, you don't. Just a moment. Well, just pass it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I have. So, it's usually we have the growth plan, so to speak, and the growth plans involves like, well, I am the programmer, right? This is how I want to do stuff better. I have a dilemma, honestly speaking, with a QA specialist because we have an open check for all the a micro credentials in the universe for everything. We have the open check. I mean, if it's reasonable amount, not 100 grams of bugs or something. Yet, asking those questions, the answers usually sounds like, well, now I'm a QA specialist, and then, well, maybe, sometime later I will be like a fantastic OP QA specialist. It doesn't sound like sufficient to me. It's like, what's the difference? What's the deviation? So maybe you can suggest something is like, well, what are the paths for the QA specialist to go along better, making something which makes sense as the, specialist grows, not only just sitting long hours in the office, burning midnight oil. It's not the case, right? I honestly speaking, I do not care whether I have a 3 QA specialists that doing same job that the one doing, right? I do not care. At the end of the day, I need the full amount of issues in the build. But I have to understand how to motivate people, because the motivation is usually low. People just don't see anything. They're not thinking outside the box, but the box is pretty freaking solid. You cannot see anything outside this box. So what is your solution to that?
Well, to motivate your QAs, for example, it depends on the personality, but in general, the impact is very important. I used to work on the AAA project, and you're a tiny piece of this giant mechanism, and you're just doing what you're doing. In my case, the game we released received like 2.5, I guess, out of 10. And when you test it day by day, you understand it sucks. And you can do nothing. Nobody wants to hear you. After that, in a small team, I realized that it's incredibly motivating when you have an impact on the game. When you have some ideas, they are implemented, it's super motivating. You go every day, you're on the work, and you're motivated to do more and more and more, and you do with a good mood. This is my position. I know a lot of QAs that do the same way. So this is a very cool motivation. About how you can grow like a QA, it's also a topic for QA just to become a developer or become an artist or whatever. But if you want to have this QA part of your life, just like a pass to something else, think a little bit, maybe the straight way will be way shorter. I guess something like that.
So it's got to be a micro-credentials own like impact on the projects, right?
Well, once again?
I mean, it's got to be a micro-credential, how to make an impact on the project. This is the solution.
It's motivating. It's motivation, a very, very important motivation.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Yes, you wanted.
Yes, thanks for the lecture. As you mentioned before, game designers see the results like in a cycle, it's a software developer life cycle. And do you, on your project, on your works, like communication with game designers, when you're checking games, you're seeing that some features not working on, or you have new ideas for features, and do they hear you? Do they see your situation, see your ideas, and taking it in advice?
Depends on the project and the company. But you know, when I'm a QA lead, and yeah, they listen to me. But when I was a junior tester, it was hard. It was hard to bring your opinion. But still, now I guess maybe around 20% of my time, it's a communication with the designers. It's a huge part of my work, and I do it like constantly every single day. And now on, our main game designer is appreciated for my ideas and for my view on the project. If you have the same point for your game designer, believe me, it will be way better for overall of your project. So this is the core, the soft skill that designer should have to be respectful for all the opinions and to deal with it.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have more questions? Because I have one. Okay, I'll go. Did you want? Okay, sure. Thank you. So, what a QA, people themselves can do to, collaborate more with other departments, other team members to, support them better.
Well, one of the soft skill of QA, which is important, it's not to be shy. Because yeah, I have a few guys in my team, and they're pretty shy persons. And yeah, with this pipelines, you just always need to communicate. If you really want your game to be good, you need to talk extremely a lot. You need to go to different people, ask plenty of questions. So yeah, speak and you will be heard. That's
Okay.
the main thing.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. So communication is the key. All right, thank you. Thank you all for participating, for coming and asking questions. Thank you for the great speech. A round of applause.